Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you for stopping by. Political Reflections' Harry Kunzru in the New York Books has written an article captioned "Fool Britannia." From the ill-conceived Brexit referendum onward, Britain's governing class has embarrassed itself. The Remain campaign was complacent. The Leave campaign brazenly mendacious. And as soon as the result was known, most of the loudest advocates for severing ties with the European Union ran away like naughty schoolboys whose cricket ball had smashed a greenhouse window. Referencing Boris Johnson, obviously, who vanished on the occasion of the result being announced. The Prime Minister has engineered her own humiliation by starting the countdown to Brexit without a plan that could command wide support, resulting in the heaviest parliamentary defeat in history. Britain is a country under self-inflicted stress, gripped by fear of the unknown. Remainers and Leavers, two tribes that have taken on the mythic stature of Roundheads and Cavaliers in a Second World Civil War, are clinging together like drowning swimmers, each side convinced that the other is provoking an epochal disaster, neither side understanding why the other won't submit to its version of reason and allow itself to be guided back to the surface. As the deadline approaches and the clock runs down towards the no-deal outcome that was supposed to be unthinkable, the divided nation faces what is, by any standards, a major political crisis. On December 16th, the former Brexit Secretary Dominic Raab tweeted, "Remainers believe UK prosperity depends on its location. Brexiteers believe UK prosperity depends on its character." Faith in Brexit does indeed seem to correlate with belief in the existence of national character, an innate and invariant set of shared qualities that apparently includes an aptitude for governance. Britons, as Rule Britannia triumphantly puts it, never, never, never shall be slaves. The underside of nostalgia for an imperial past is a horror of finding the tables turned. For the more unhinged Brexiteers, leaving the EU takes on the character of a victorious army coming home with its spoils. In December 2017, Edward Lee, a rosy-faced Tory backbencher, suggested in the House of Commons that an important negotiating point should be that the British take back control of our fair share of the EU's art and wine and not leave it for Mr. Juncker to enjoy. And it's a tremendous essay. Let me finish with one last paragraph. One who contemplates his own affliction as undeserved necessarily contemplates his own merit. There is an idea of much withheld and a feeling of implied superiority to those who withhold it. The other prong is historical. Starting from the sheer exhilaration of being English for a young white privileged man during and after the war, O'Toole tells the familiar story of an imperial decline that has gradually ratcheted up the tension between this deep sense of grievance and a high sense of superiority. So it's an interesting essay, well worth reading. And it's still unclear as to how we are set to proceed from here. My article over the weekend was about Venezuela, Iran, and DR Congo. And I started with a poem from Camões, time changes and our desires change. What we believe, even what we are, is ever changing. The world is change, which forever takes on new qualities. I was talking about destination Caracas, Venezuela, how years of sanctioned warfare have taken a toll. Maduro was being attacked by a remote-controlled drone. That, accompanied with rank mismanagement, has brought the country, in my opinion, to that point that Hunter S. Thompson described. The edge, there is no honest way to explain it, because the only people who really know where it is are the ones who have gone over. I was talking about the fact that, the petrodollar agreement was key to the ascendancy of the United States, and how any threat by any nation to undermine the petrodollar system is viewed by Washington as tantamount to a declaration of war. And I said the Chavez Revolution was always a rebellion in the superpower's backyard, and the machine was eventually going to bring it to heel by hook or by crook. I quoted an article by Andrew Corey-Biko, who was speculating that all the deals with China and Russia would be declared null and void. I said Maduro is, I am afraid, going down, just like Muammar went down, and as did Saddam. And then I was looking at Iran and asking what explained Tehran's resilience and the fact that it has been a prize that has remained beyond Washington's grasp. And finally, the DR Congo. And I was speculating that Dan Gertler had played some kind of role in Washington, where Jason Stearns said, I think the most startling thing is how quickly we have shifted from a discussion about the integrity of the electoral process to sweeping all these very serious and credible allegations of electoral fraud under the carpet. Venezuela's Juan Guaido wants China to see Nicolas Maduro as bad for business. I will be very clear, all agreements that have been signed following the law will be respected. If previous agreements were signed by adhering to the due process of approval by the National Assembly, they will be accepted and honored. We want to establish a transparent relationship with China and put an end to the plundering of our resources that has prevailed under Maduro's government, which has ultimately also affected Chinese investors. China's development projects in Venezuela have been falling as they had been affected and destroyed by corruption or debt default. Beijing has invested more than $62 billion in Venezuela, mostly through loans, since 2007. It imports 3.6% of its oil supply, down from 5% in 2017. And then a very tongue-in-cheek article in The Guardian, Nicolas Maduro must be praying for the US to intervene in Venezuela. One thing alone could save the Maduro regime in Venezuela, that is Western intervention. Nothing unites a country like a sovereign enemy on its borders. Venezuelans may hate their president Nicolas Maduro, but they also hate the US. China may be exasperated, but it is Maduro's ally, and would have to help him if the US attacked. So the US and everyone else should leave Venezuela alone. Unintended consequences of outside intervention scream down the ages. Only Donald Trump seems deaf. Iran's top judge says the EU's preconditions for a non-dollar trade channel are unacceptable. Over the weekend, I said Europe threw them a bone last week with the special purpose vehicle designed to facilitate essential food, medicines and the like commerce via trading in euros. And last year on the 25th of September, I'd said let's see where this goes. When push comes to shove, Europe tends to come to heel. This Peter Frankopan is obviously in the UAE, and he filmed the arrival of Pope Francis and Sheikh Ahmed al-Tayeb in Abu Dhabi for a historic interfaith dialogue. It's a short video.